Ever since I was a very, very young child, I've always been fascinated with lying. Yeah, lying. The act of intentionally falsifying a statement in order to get a false point across. The thing that will get you a frowny face on your first grade report card, the thing that could be a breaking point of a marriage. Now, lying, although awfully compelling, it's not the main topic of this informational overload. What is emotions. The thing that, no matter if you're in China, Madagascar, or in this room, you know that this is happiness. You know that this person is freaking mad, and you know that this person is crazy. But what are the things, the MMMs, as I like to call them, the minuscule muscle movements on everybody's face that help us distinguish that happy person from that sad person, and so on. The main topic of today are micro and macro expressions, beginning with Paul Ekman and all of his studies, and ending with a few tips and tricks on how to find out who's lying and who's not. I'm going to be talking to you about expressions, the things that everybody sees millions of times a day, and yet we don't know if the people around us are actually lying. So let's begin. So this man is Dr. Paul Ekman, currently 83, and he's a titan of a human being, as I like to call him. In 2009, he was named as one of the 100 most influential people by Times Magazine. And in an article by Jill Taylor of the same year, she stated, quote, "Perhaps most importantly, in a society in which dissemblance and evasion has become commonplace, Ekman is teaching us how to recognize the subtle signs of truth." Not only that, but he's also the American Psychological Association's most influential of the 20th century. And he's ranked 15th of the Archives of Scientific Psychology's most influential of the 21st century. Further, according to paulekman.com, he has, quote, written more than 14 books and 170 published articles. Now, going back to his earlier life, he attained his PhD in clinical psychology at Adelphi University in 1958. And in 1956, he got a grant to research nonverbal behavior. So this led him to go to Papua New Guinea and study the Four People, a kind of basically an ancient civilization, people who to this day are still using rocks and other things to hunt and gather animals and to make fire. So once there, he got a bunch of research and he came back and he ended up publishing a journal within the American Psychologist entitled Facial Expressions and Emotion. And in this, Ekman found that expressions tend to happen very quickly, but can show whether a person is trying to suppress an expression because he or she does not want to show said emotion, or trying to express said emotion without actually feeling it inside. So that leaves us to the topic that Paul Ekman has been studying for over half a century, micro and macro expressions. Now, by show of hands, who's seen the show Lie to Me? Okay, a few people. Wonders. So, for those of you who don't know, Lie to Me is a show that from 2009 to 2011 ran in the TV show, or the station Fox. Now, Tim Roth played a man named Cal Littman, who is an expert in nonverbal expressions, and he used his expertise to it's basically a criminal investigation show, where he used his expertise to go out and find criminals and put them in jail. So Paul Ekman actually served as a scientific consultant for the show, looking at the scripts for the show and telling whether what they're putting out in the media is true or not. So this is because it's loosely based on his research. But to continue in our main topic, in Matthew Shreve's 2011 scientific journal about micro and macro expression spotting, quote, "Micro and macro expressions typically last 3/4 of a second to 2 seconds." Now, further stated in Matthew Shreve's article and also Paul Ekman's many studies are that there are 7 main expressions, and I'm here with Tim Roth to actually help show you all 7 expressions. So first, we have anger, which can be spotted by the eyebrows forcing down and together, glaring eyeballs, and a narrowing of the lips. Now, in Stephen Coates' Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, published in 2013, he found that faking anger in negotiations was futile in progressing the negotiations further, as seen in Joey from Friends. But further, he found that showing true, deep anger in negotiations only helped raising perceptions of toughness. Second, content. Now, with content comes the corner of the lip tightened and raised on one side of the face, shown perfectly by Simon Cowell and our man Donald Trump again. So, third, we have disgust, which is signified by the nose wrinkling and the upper lip raised. With disgust is a very interesting statistic. In Stephen W. Edwards' article on assessing emotions in athletes and non-athletes in 1995, he found that athletes tend to overexpose their emotions in not only daily life, but throughout the game that they're playing. And he also found that males tend to overexpose their emotion disgust within their basketball game. So next we have fear, and with the iconic movie scene from Psycho, you can see that raised eyebrows, raised upper eyelids, and tensed lower eyelids make up this expression. Fifth, sadness, including apparent loss of focus in the eyes, and slow pulling down of the lip corners. Next we have surprise, and with surprise is England soccer legend Frank Lampard, who shows us that raised eyebrows, wide eyes, and a gaping mouth tend to show surprise. Now last but not least is happiness. Now happiness is the easiest to fake, and yet the easiest to discern if somebody's faking it or not. So according to Paul Ekman, what are called crow's feet and raised cheeks are the easiest indicators on telling if somebody's lying or not. Seen here, soccer player Cristiano Ronaldo on the left, taking a picture with a fan. You see a lack of crow's feet in the corner of his eyes, and his cheeks aren't that raised. Meanwhile, a much younger Cristiano Ronaldo after he won a soccer game with crow's feet apparent and his cheeks raised. Next, we have our main man, Paul Ekman, on the left showing a reel from a fake smile. Again, crow's feet and cheeks raised. And last but not least, how can I not show my man Barack Obama? With on the left, taking a picture, lack of crow's feet compared to the right, and lack of cheeks being raised. Now, with Obama, you can see that his glaring eyeballs on the left compared to a sort of focus on the right. Now with this, to delve deeper into detecting fake happiness, according to Manuel Calvo's 2013 article on eye movement, he showed that fake smiles tended to give off, quote, more fixations and longer dwell times than those of faces with genuine smiles. Now to conclude, these aren't all the expressions that humans show, obviously, because there are many, many expressions that humans show. But these are actually the easiest to detect if somebody's lying or not. Now, Paul Ekman spent over half of his life researching, teaching, and not only that, but inspiring psychologists, FBI agents, policemen, and many more, including students like me, to delve deeper into this topic. After this information overload, I wish you all luck in binge watching Lie to Me and trying to find out whether your roommates are lying to you or not. Thank you.